This right here is the hydration pack I wear when I go out and pick up trash. Now, along with keeping me hydrated, it has a magnet on it to carry my grabber, and it works pretty dang well. But it has a problem with the water reservoir system in it, and well, let me show you. Hydration packs come in lots of different flavors. They come in obviously standalone backpacks, um, packs that you can just mount on, say, the back of a vest or stuff like that. Lots of different colors, features made by different people. I mean, this is the one that I wore down on the beach down there in Galveston. We can tell because it has another magnetic mount on it. But they all have the same problem. And that problem is the reservoir. See, these reservoirs are really easy to manufacture. They're really easy to fit in a backpack. They work great for pulling the fluids out. The issue is when you're wearing a hydration pack, no matter what it is, you're likely wearing it in hot conditions. You're likely out there you're on a beach, you're on a trail, you're out there where you need extra water. And they have made studies that show that plastic leaches when it gets hot. Doesn't matter if you wash it, doesn't matter what you do, it leaches the chemicals into the water from these reservoirs. Now, the studies they did were on plastic bottles, but I'm willing to bet you that the standard reservoir and Camelbacks or any of the other manufacturers all have the same problem. And my aim was to get away from it. The first thing I went looking for was bottles that you could put a attachment on for a Camelback or water reservoir. I had seen someone made one for Yetis or one of the big manufacturers a long time ago, and that's what I looked at first. The problem here is that all of these that are commercially available are, well, not all of them commercially available. Ones you can get locally, they're all insulated, so they're small. The amount of fluid they hold is very small. And then I had to find to put them in there into the pack. I also tried to use just one larger bottle, but then you have the issue of if you fall backwards, you have that shape right on your spine, which might be pretty bad. So what I ended up finding though was these right here. Memo bottles, square or rectangular memo bottles. These things, they're not insulated. They hold, this A5 holds 1,000 milliliters, so 32 ounces, give or take, and it fits comfortably in the pack. Now, the obvious problem here is that the lid does not have a venting system on it, so I built one. So now, whenever I go out, I carry two of these bottles. One has water mixed with Propel or some other electrolyte fluid or powder, and the other one carries a spare water jug. And this works really, really good. It is very comfortable on the back, and I don't have to worry about bees leaching chemicals in there. The problem is this. These bottles have a very small opening on the top. It's only, probably 3/4 of an inch, give or take. It's not very big at all, which means that to make it function for a water reservoir, you have to be able to equalize the pressure. You can't pull a vacuum, so I have to have the output line coming out, and then I have to have an input line going into to replace it as I pull fluid out of it. And that right there, that's at the model here, you can clearly see where the issue is. Now, the larger tube is the one that goes all the way through that you're pulling fluid out. The smaller one is where you are putting air back into it. And that little channel that's in there is extremely hard, if not impossible, to clean. So you get mold buildup inside there. So I had to make a change. Instead of using these bottles, I went digging around online for a water bottle that held about the same volume and was about the same size to these, where I could put two standard water bottles in there that are roughly the same size. And this is what I found. This is a $20, I think it's called Bam Wah water bottle. It is 1,000 milliliters, so it's the same size as these bottles. And the best part is that it has a negative review on Amazon for this little bamboo thing just popping right out. Because if you look at this, the lid is just a molded or formed piece of stainless steel, and they just glued this in there. And because that thing just pops out, because it's literally just glued in there by two little pieces, it made it really easy to design a new tube. And this does the exact same thing as the other one. The only difference is it is a lot easier to clean. We popped out the little bamboo piece, put two holes in the bottom of it here. One for the air intake, which is the white, that's a check valve, and the other one for the fluid output, which is obviously the blue. It screws right in there, and because those just go straight through, we can now clean this really easily. Let me show you the models. Here we see the part that fits inside the metal cap. Now, these little grooves that we have here, those are for O-rings, and mainly what those are for is so that I can drill that hole just a little bit larger, and they hold the straw in place on one side. On the other side, they hold the check valve in place and provide a little bit of a seal. We also have another O-ring on the bottom here to help seal it so that we don't have fluid coming up along the edge, which that was its own little problem, but definitely a lot easier to clean. This thing completely pulled apart. You can see the bottom O-ring to help seal the bottom of the printed part from the rest of it. That ended up needing to be made from the same silicone that I use on my grabbers. We just made a little mold here and produced that ring, put it in place, and we're good to go. It also just so happens that another one of the complaints on this particular bottle is that people cannot get this ring right here. For some whatever reason, they have trouble getting that little silicone ring. Luckily, I've got a printer, so I can make my own. Both bottles fit inside this bag comfortably. In fact, I just did about 4 miles with no issues. Now, one of the downsides to doing it like this, where we have two bottles beside each other versus two bottles stacked on top of each other, is the weight distribution. Because as we pull fluid out of this one, then we have the weight on this side here. You know, it's just not equal. However, because we're carrying the grabber, it's probably not going to be that big of an issue. But I think we're good to go. Now, as for these, if you don't have one, if you've never seen one, these bottles are freaking awesome. I love these things. Whenever we flew around to, I think, Australia, these things are great because they fit in your baggage nice and flat. So if you're doing a bunch of traveling or you're looking for a bottle that might fit in a bag or something real easy, I would look at these Memo bottles. They have a bunch of different sizes. This one here is the A5, which is 1,000 milliliters.